Hello and welcome to the stream. Please confirm if you can hear me okay. Looks like everything is running fine from mine. I did have some slight troubles before. Today, I'm going to go through an issue that I think a lot of us deal with. I deal with anyway a lot still these days, and just trying to find a reference photo that is suitable and how I solve this essentially. So I'm going to go through different ways to change up a composition. Often you take photographs or you find photographs online, but there's always something that you don't like about it, or something that just you can tweak. Maybe the photograph is too complicated. Maybe there's figures in places that you don't want them to be. Maybe the shadows aren't really in there. This is a particular reference photo that I really like just due to the subject matter. Got lots of buildings, interesting kind of undulations in the perspective as well. But there's just not really much shadows. So I'm going to show you how to put in your own shadow pattern, modify the scene a little bit as well to I guess fix the reference photo, make it a little bit more interesting, because you're never going to have that reference photo, that perfect reference photo. So we're going to go through that. I'm also going to talk a bit about perspective. So I'm going to show you, because this particular scene, we've just got some very interesting undulations. The right-hand side, it kind of goes up a slope. Left-hand side goes down. Okay, I'm going to walk you through my process so that if you ever come across this problem where you can't find that perfect reference, where you can't find a photo that just ticks at least a few of those boxes, you have the skills to do something about it. So this really is a workshop, a special workshop that is going to be filled with a lot of value, a lot of detail, to show you how to compose your own painting, make it unique to yourself, change things up, and still represent what you see in front of you. Okay, and also go through a little bit of perspective. But yeah, the perspective on this one is a little bit tricky. As you can see, too many slopes going up and down. Okay, imperfect. Even the paper that I'm using today, I'm using hot press paper. I've run out of cold press paper. You never have a 100% perfect scenario, but the important thing is always just give it a go. We've got Austria, how you doing on Facebook? Good evening. And yeah, it's evening for you as well. Okay. Whereabouts are you watching from? I do remember you from a previous workshop, so good to see you again. There's a whole bunch of you online, so if you're watching along tonight, this is Sunday over in Melbourne, so if you're watching along, drop a chat down in the comment below. Let me know, introduce yourself, and let me know whereabouts you're watching from. So guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with this drawing. And the important thing with this scene is taking note of all the buildings, where they lie in proportion to, not in proportion, but in relation to the horizon line. You've got basically, it's interesting. You've got almost like two horizon lines, because you've got one down below here underneath this arch. Okay, here's something else I kind of want to do as well. The building to the center, I think it just looks a little bit too tall. I want to reduce the size of it down as well. Okay, so before I start with anything, I'm going to just put in some guiding lines. So roughly where the bottom of the, that archway is here, with the car running through. And then we've got one, let's have a look, run just roughly up to the right hand side here. Okay, I'm just really estimating. Okay, and you've got this kind of really light sort of archway there in the background. It looks like there's a bridge or something up the top like this. Okay, so these will kind of help guide the rest of the scene. Okay, but also what I want to do is perhaps get in a bit more of the sky. That is something that I didn't, when I took this photograph, I didn't frame it 100% correctly, well, in a way that I'd prefer it anyway. And you can see on the top of the scene, there's cuts off part of the building. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to simplify down the top of the buildings. And you can see here, this is kind of like this squarish, these little blocks here on the top like that. I'm just really changing that around a little bit, changing it around a touch. Okay. Just seeing how it looks, because it may or may not be in the right spot. But, you know, one of the big things is that you can see that this building right in the center, it is literally in the center of everything. So you can quite confidently, you know, draw it in right smack bang in the middle like this. Okay. However, one thing I want to do is indicate a bit more of the left-hand side of this building as well. Okay. I'm just thinking whether I want to actually have that building, still go out of the particular scene, or reduce the size of it down a little bit. I'm missing the top of that building, so it's very tricky to see exactly what is going on up there. But I think we can be safe to reduce it down, just to change it up a little bit. Okay. Or not. Because if we make it, also, you think to yourself, if you make it too short, then this wall is going to look a bit funny as well. It's not going to, it's going to look kind of shorter than than it actually is. So it's an interesting decision that we have to make. Let me just bring this all the way down first, this front of this building. Okay, right in the middle of the scene. Okay, right in the middle of the scene like that. And underneath here, I'm going to scribble in this archway. Okay, scribble that in roughly like, in fact, it's probably a little bit more over this side here. Let me just shift this over a touch. Okay. That there. It's like a door that's open on the right hand side, and there's a door here as well. And you've got this ledge or whatever just on top here, and this is going to also cast a bit of a shadow. I'm thinking to the right of the building, down below. Okay, but I'm not trying to get in, super accurate details. Okay, I'm just trying to get a loose representation of what is happening here. A foolish one says YouTube showing the same reference photo as yesterday. Okay, it shouldn't be. I thought I changed it. Let me just see if I can flick this around. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it says that I've got the proper one. I might have to check it afterwards and see what's happened, because I did have the old reference photo back before, and I just realized that and switched it, but YouTube may not have updated. So thank you for that. Thank you for the heads up. I'll have to check it afterwards. We've got Melody also in the chat, says, I'm glad you're back. Thanks, Melody, and good to see you here as well. And this is actually a town I visited in Italy many years back called Assisi. Assisi. So Assisi. I don't know how to pronounce it, but let's have a look. What is going on down here? I'm kind of thinking to myself, this side on the right could do with a bit of like an extra widening, but what's happened? I've kind of placed this slightly off, so that actually there should be perhaps another block here to the right, but I want to keep the same sort of composition. So, a lot of this stuff goes through my head when I'm trying out a new scene. Often it's like a lot more messier than this, but I'm trying to also come up with something that looks decent at the end of this scene as well. You could put in another one. Let me just get in that wall here like this. We have also some of these other bits of the wall here. Let me just get that a bit like that in, that here. And the shadow pattern, the shadows are coming in from the left of the scene. Sorry, the light's coming in from the left of the scene, so the shadows will come in from will be cast on the right, as you can see here behind these blocks. Okay. let me see if I can just maybe shift this one a bit over like this, and then there we go, rejig this one a touch like that. There, let's make these ones a little bit taller to make sure it's kind of matching with the other ones. A lot of like kind of fiddling around with this stuff at times. You are if you're changing up a composition, I'm kind of making it a little bit flatter as well, as you can see on top. And you know, this is sort of, this center part is what is bugging me a little bit. But I'm really thinking, I kind of like the fact that it goes out of the scene, even though it is slightly, you know, difficult to see the top of the building. Okay, but I want to put in maybe a bit of the side of the building here as well, coming down here to the right hand side. We've got all these buildings, and look, there's all just, it's really hard to see what exactly is going on back there. Just a row of buildings that seemingly goes up. Okay, coming down. Remember, we've got kind of two vanishing points, one a little bit lower. Okay, two horizon lines, so one here, one up the top. So those have to be marked out, estimated before you draw in anything else. And these particular scenes I'm doing lately, certainly that, you know, I normally will pick reference photos that I've not done or that I have had a little bit of practice painting before, but with these newer workshops that I've been running lately, I've been really trying to just pick different subjects that will challenge me. Okay, and at the same time, it's gonna show you how I deal with a new reference photo under pressure. How I make do with the situation, and try to come up with something suitable, something that I like in the end. I remember going through this like little gift shop here, selling all kinds of like trinkets and rosaries and all kinds of stuff like that, you know. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you put here, just some basic little bits and pieces. I think these are pot plants here. You know, there is a wall here underneath, okay, that kind of just curves around and then goes up like that. You can see it just goes around, and then this then becomes like a kind of a what you call it, a path that goes around there. Here you got a path that goes to the right, more buildings running one, you know, on top like this. Okay, but of course you got another one here. I'm going to emphasize some of these buildings a little bit more than they appear, like just give them a little bit more oomph. That ledge of that building here, make them a little bit more squarish shaped. What have we got here? Another one, again, just kind of sticking out that little ledge, gutter or whatever on the top of that building like that. You know, then we've got this bigger building that just goes, you know, it disappears off like this. In fact, I think I should make this match the same angle as this one. It's very tricky. It's a lot of observation of the angles in here. There we go. That looks better. You've got windows as well. Look, just drop in a few windows, a few more of these little perspective lines in here as well. Let's bring these buildings down more like that. Here, you know, over here, it's just gets kind of quite dark underneath. Even there's like, I don't even know exactly what's there. It looks like there's some kind of darker section in this building underneath there like that. You know, I'm just making some of this stuff up. Of course, you have things like this sign as well, which is useful to get in, but I'll probably deal with that sign a bit later. While what I'll do though is maybe put in a bit of this, what do you call it, this shade here, like kind of this roundish shade, like like that. That's not too good. Let me just redo that. The goal here is to get in a decent enough sketch that's going to allow you to paint this entire scene in. Okay, this looks like a little window, like, you know, they sell these snacks and coffees and stuff like that out of these tiny corner shops. So that's what that is anyway. This looks like the entrance to another area, like a garden or something like that there to the right. We've got a guy just walking out. You know, this building's got all kinds of little boxes and weird sort of bits and pieces here. You know, on top of this building, I like that there is some kind of window here. I'm going to put some like shutters on the side because there's almost a lack of detail going on in my particular drawing, and sometimes you need to you're going to need to make it look more interesting than the reference if you're taking bits and pieces out. Okay, yeah, let's have a look. What else do we have in here? Let's have a look. We are going to put in a few people just sort of walking around as well. Let's just get in this little thing here, this little path, so that it sort of looks like it's, you know, a bit of perspective going on. Okay. And let's see, what else can we put in? There's like a plant or something there as well. I mean, for a basic drawing, we are doing okay. Okay. Now, this is something to observe. When you're looking at the people here in this scene, you'll see that the people all the way up the back here, because it's basically a inclining, kind of going up in an incline, the heads of the figures start to get further up, and as you move down, the heads get larger, so larger and also further down. So over here, this is like a person to the right. I'm just going to put in his head here. He's got a backpack on, and looks like that's his shirt there, and this. There we go. Maybe get an arm in, another arm in here as well, like that, and a hand. Yep, something simple, like, but with the figures out in the foreground, I do find it helps to just detail a little bit more. Okay, and I like he's also wearing some sunnies. Let's chuck on some sunnies. Chuck on some sunnies like that. Real basic indication. Mouth maybe like that. Okay, he's got his cap there. I'm not gonna bother with that, with the cap, but you can see his legs kind of go out of the scene. I'm gonna replicate that. Okay, so he's going out of the scene, but my aim is to get in like a shadow, his shadow just running towards the right, like that. Okay, see if we can get some little perspective lines running across as well. This maybe. Yeah. That. So it's kind of like, yeah, you got like two sort of vanishing points. Okay. Good. So I'm going to put in some more of these figures, and at the same time, I'm just also sussing out, really trying to suss out the perspective here. So this person just walking in front of this shop, you can see he's holding something. He's in his hand, just like another like a bag or something like that. There. Let's put in these legs. One leg here to the front, one leg here to the back. And again, the shadow, you know, I'm really thinking to myself, well, I want to make this shadow pretty pretty obvious, like more obvious than in the reference photo. Okay, a little bit more obvious than the reference photo. So running to the right hand side like this. And I'm having a bit of trouble with this wall, but there's a small wall here and then this ledge here, I guess. So we can just, it can be like the bottom of this building. Okay, you sort of see that. This is just kind of brickwork there. Okay, we've got a woman just standing here as well, walking. She's holding a camera. Looks like she's holding a camera. Let's just put in some legs here. And again, you can see to indicate that that it's going downwards a little bit, you can see that I've put her head further down on the horizon line for this side. But, you know, all these people here, they're going to look like, you know, a little bit shorter, you know, because here it's going to be higher. So let's put in some more here, a few more heads of some figures, some people. Also another one in the distance. I do like this car here in the background. I want to just get in that car. It's like a van or something there in the background like this. I'm gonna just get that in quickly at the same time. Good. Some kind of car there in the background. I mean, there's all these buildings. Look at that. There's another building here in the distance. There's another building there. There's a nice, beautiful kind of undulating landscape and stuff like that out the back. So you can just sketch this in. I'm not trying to get this in perfectly. Okay. There is another kind of strange little ledge here as well that connects onto the wall. Okay, this is not going to matter all too much because at the end of the day, I want to use this to cast a shadow to the right hand side of the scene. So all these people and stuff, they're going to be under shade. Let's put some shorts on this guy here. There we go. Got some shoes on. Simplified down. You know, who we else do we have? We've got another person here to the left. Like that. Another person there. Okay. I'm going to erase some of this little bits of line work. And as you move up, as you can, you know, over here, you see the people get smaller, and two, their heads get are a little bit higher up. Okay, to try to indicate that that it's going further up into the distance. Okay. Didn't need much for those figures off in the background, but just something, a little bit more detail for the ones out in the front. Okay, just so that it does look like that. And put one maybe getting closer to the front, midway, like here. Okay, so in between this figure, there's another one there, so you can see it's starting to look like it's going up in that direction. We've also got oh, sorry, yeah, you guys are right. I have put on the wrong reference photo. I was really wondering what was yeah, give me 1 second. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Foolish one. So there you go. That is the reference photo. I was wondering what you were going on about. But yeah, apologies for that. Here it is. Here's that reference photo. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking, geez, I might, you know, Glenn was saying photo is different to what you are drawing. I was like, geez, I don't think my drawing's that terrible. Hey, Pamela's here as well. Good to see you. Thank you, Tone, for letting me know. Okay, everyone's happy now. Fantastic. Sometimes I don't know why, but I just completely misinterpret things. Like someone will say something that can be interpreted in an ambiguous sort of way, and I'll interpret it in like a really weird way that it shouldn't be interpreted. But yeah, I don't know, it's not really the same scenario. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to it. I've kind of made that reference photo a little bit larger for you guys as well to see what's going on. But yeah, you probably want to enlarge the, I'll just enlarge it a little bit. Okay, so you can just see while I'm drawing. But I will reduce it down again once we start painting, because it's just going to get in the way. I'd rather you see a little bit of my palette and a bit more of what I'm actually doing. Okay, so righto. Get into this habit as well. You notice sometimes the way I draw, I sort of just scribble in some lines, and I try not to overthink things, you know, as I draw. You know, here's a little technique that you can do as well. Try not to lift the pencil off the page too much. So, for example, you can just draw a line, but then connect it on with another line. Let me show you something here. So this could be the inside of a shop. See how I'm just making all these weird little squiggly things here, and on the right hand side, you know, it's just got like another something there. You know, it looks all very messy at the moment. Okay, but it stops you from overthinking things. Okay, this is like the inside of that shop. Yeah, this was like a little souvenir shop, I remember. Okay, good. We're almost done with the reference. Yeah, we're almost done with the reference. This wall, the textures of these buildings is really gonna do my head in, I reckon, afterwards. But I'm going to show you some ways that we can maybe imply some texture, you know, shortcut the texture on this. Okay, bit of a quick thing that we can do. Oh, look, this has actually got some, just trying to figure this out, but like a ledge here, little ledge like that, maybe. Oh, just keep breaking my lead. Little ledge, small details, small little details. Okay. All right. We do have some people kind of in the middle of the scene, like here. This guy just kind of walking in. See him just walking into the scene. This is important as well because, again, this forms like a little transitionary area, so that, yeah, between this guy that's taller and this person that's shorter, because of the whatchamacallit, the perspective. Okay, because it's now starting to go up on a slope. Okay, so the heights, the heads of the figures will naturally just imply the undulations of the ground. If you put all the heads at the exact same point on the horizon line, that's going to be fine. That's just going to look like, yeah, that's just going to look like as if you've got a completely flat plane. But it doesn't work in this particular scenario because the plane isn't flat. It's going down, going up. So, you know, even the people here right in the back near to that car, see their heads are like short, further down like that as well. So, you know, I'll start to put in some figures here coming through the gates, like that. And this place was just filled with people. I remember coming through here, just completely filled with people. This guy looks a little bit strange, but that's okay. We'll figure it out as we go. You know, the windows, look, just another quick something, windows up the top there like that. Let's put in some more up here just to indicate what could be going on here. This could be like a little, you know how you have on the side of these buildings these little shades and maybe a shop front underneath. I just made that one up. That's another shade there. That could be a shade as well, like a at the front of one of those buildings there. Look, scribble in a few bits and pieces like that and you're good to go. Okay. Come on, Darren. Let's get this one out the way. I'm really just spending too much time on this. Good. So I think that looks okay for the reference. I think we can work, this is something we can work with. Righto. So, let's get started. I'm going to reduce the size of that reference photo so that I can fit everything else in the scene better. Here we go. Just move this over to the left a little bit. And grab up my palette. Okay, so let's start with some basic colors. I'm going to pick up warm colors, really warm colors. Okay, so really it depends as well. Like I said before, we are changing the composition a bit, and with this composition, you can see there's the shadows are very subtle. They're running kind of from the left to right. I want to make them stronger. I also wanted to make this building look more three-dimensional, as you can see, three-dimensional. So I've put in like a bit of the side of that building there, almost as if I'd maybe taken the photo from an angle to the right. You know, sometimes when you're in the moment taking photos, you don't think of these tiny little details. You just want to snap the photo, and it might just be at a time where the people are walking right in the right place, looks nice, lots going on, great. So you got to do all these little bits of modifications, bits and pieces afterwards. Okay, so let's see, what do we have here? Let's go in firstly with some of this color. This is some what do you call it? Burnt sienna, and a bit of yellow ochre and burnt sienna into this building. Look at how I'm holding the brush right at the end so that it creates sort of fleeting brush strokes. Okay, just dragging the brush through, and I want to mix in a few different colors in here because this, you know, the building, it does not look like flat and smooth. It's an older building. This is a very old town, I believe. So you're gonna have certainly not, you know, some changes in the colors of the brickwork. You know, maybe some red in areas. I don't know. Just drop in some different colors in there, even some grays. You know, there's this little streak of some kind of, like, see that? I don't know what that is, like a streak there or something. You know, while the paper is still wet, I like to do this kind of stuff, but at the same time, remember this particular wash, we want to keep it, you know, mostly just water in here. So 80 to 90% water max. You don't want to put too much paint in here. You keep it nice and light. Okay, even the shadow areas here, you're going to put that yellow still running over the top of that. Okay, there is this shade here. I'm going to mix a bit of yellow with a bit of white gouache. Just drop that in, something like this maybe. Just want to get rid of some of that other paint in there, make it, you know, pretty light. Good. Remember, just a light wash for all this stuff. All right. Certainly, I know the back end, like all this stuff here, though, it is darker than the shade. So, you know, while the paper is still wet, just keep on going. This kind of one is a bit more grayish in color. We can go over the top, and I always like to leave some little whites, in there as well, if I can. So you don't have to color everything in. Okay, but remember, at this point, we are not getting in any details. We are just putting in, think of it as just putting in basic light values running through this scene. Okay, and try to connect it as well. See how I've just kind of connected up a bit of the building from the right hand side as well. Okay, and I'm using hot press paper, so this will be a lot easier for you guys if you're using textured paper. Don't do what I'm doing. I've run out of hot textured paper, so cold press paper. Hot press is, I mean, it's amazing paper. I love the stuff, but I wouldn't recommend it for beginners because it's just, you're gonna need a lot of work in terms of getting in soft washes, things that blend together. It's very difficult to get coherent and blendable kind of washes. This building here to the right, there's some grey in there as well, but I don't like that. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make it more kind of yellowy. Some yellow ochre. Let's just drop that yellow ochre in there. Okay. Maybe some little bit of some vibrant yellow as well. This is some lemon yellow. Something to change it up a touch, yeah? Make it a bit more vibrant, but at the same time, I don't want to overdo it. Okay, look at that sort of building there in the background. That's really light as well. I'm just going to lift that off. Keep the lights up there over in the distance. Okay, coming down the page, you know, you got all these shade cloths in that as well, you know, a bit of red in there. Some of that stuff we can actually work out afterwards, and no big deal. Okay, this little wall here, again, just a bit of color in there, like that as well. I want to get in that really strong sense of warm light. That's better. Kind of like warmer light. That's my intention here. In here there's the archway actually connects on, but it is darker in this section. I'll have to redo that bit anyway. It doesn't matter so much. You can see these buildings all the way in the back, a little of light yellow there, just to indicate those lighter buildings back there in the distance. And we're going to get some of the blue of the sky running underneath in those arches as well. Okay, but you know, look, let's bring some of this grey down from the side, and of course underneath here as well. We have got a lot of ground that we haven't painted yet, so I'm going to just put in, again, kind of like this mixture of yellow ochre and some more vibrant yellow to the right hand side, which is, it's more of like a Naples yellow, I suppose. When you mix in a touch of titanium white with yellow, a vibrant yellow like lemon yellow, you get this kind of Naples yellow color. I used to buy it separately, but I've just found this combination looks almost identical to me, and yeah, it's just more economical to buy it that way, because I barely use it anyhow, only for some of the groundwork. Okay, all right, so we have got in like a lot of these light areas now. I want to put in maybe some darker sections, like a little bit of darkness here in the ground as well, just so that it's not all the same color. And this could be indications of a building out the back that's casting a shadow, perhaps, that I can't see, that the viewer cannot see. And if I drop this in quickly, it's just gonna hopefully blend nicer. Okay, it's going to be a soft shadow as well, but I still managed to keep most of the light. Okay, but there's a soft kind of darker shadow here in the front. This is just a bit of grey that I've got left over on my palette. You can mix up grey by using your three primaries: blue, red, and yellow. Okay, that good. Bit of that's there. All right, time to get in the sky. Time to get in the sky. How's everyone going? Let me know in the chats. Yeah, if you need some help. It's actually my sister's dog, Foolish One. Her name's Marley. My sister named her. So, yeah, I stole her for the photograph. Okay, just checking the chats. How we all doing? You got Anna Greener from Germany. Good to see you, Anna. Recognize you from some of the previous workshops. You painting along today? Are you guys painting along today? Or are you just watching? You know, some of you follow along afterwards and paint there. But you know, I'd recommend if you feel like painting along, just do it. That way you can ask me questions and get the practice. It's very important. If you want to improve, you have to attempt some of these scenes. You have to really challenge yourself. Okay, even if you're doing quick and they're not, perhaps that the level, the quality that you're happy with, you're getting that brush mileage, which is just so crucial. Okay, now there are some white clouds, hanging around. I'm just going to drop a bit of, actually, I don't think I need to do that. Let me see. We can maybe just cut around a bit with this blue. This is one of my most favorite blues. This is a cerulean blue, but yeah, I'm using some cerulean blue here just to cut around this to get the sky in, but I'm really trying to make that sky quite dark in order to make the buildings just stick out a bit more. Okay, but you notice in the clouds there's some sharpness in the clouds, and then suddenly it goes soft in areas like that as well. So here there's like some grayish cloud there running to the right, but you've got sort of sharper white clouds that are intermixed in there as well. So I'm going to just leave that. Okay, normally I can't help myself and I just paint in all the white areas, but in this particular scene it will help if you just leave it. Okay, let's cut around. Oh, I've gone too far into that building. No problems, no problems. Cut around this building here in the front. This, yeah, okay. There. Simplify this down, Darren. Let's just get this all in with a few brush strokes. I always ask myself, how can I paint with fewer brush strokes? And down below here, you can see that's where the cloud starts to, like a lighter cloud starts to form around about here. Okay, further down, but then you've got some hints of grey in there as well, like this. Okay, mix in some of that, a little bit of that grey. All right, and underneath it just, I don't know, it goes a bit more bluey, I suppose. A bit more of that blue. Touch that. There, good. Okay, no worries, something like that. And in here I'm going to just put in a very light wash of cerulean underneath there. Does have to make sense though, it does have to look a bit more darker. Yep, good. Okay, and it's tricky to do this on hot press paper, which is what I'm doing at the moment, so be careful. Don't, when you're picking your watercolor paper as a beginner, always try to pick something that has texture to it, because when you're getting in all these different washes, it makes it a lot easier to create texture and get some seamless kind of blending happening. All right, so we've got the sky in, we've got the bits of the buildings and stuff like that. Okay, and it doesn't really look like much at the moment, yeah? Kind of looks really basic, but you have to have faith that it will work out at the end. I'll look at it and this is, in the beginning I'd look at something like this and I'd just say, I've stuffed it, there's no point, rip it up, start again. But we haven't gotten any of the darks, gotten any of the shadows, the details of the figures. A lot of this stuff, once we put in, it is really going to start making more sense. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So this next step of the painting, I'm going to be picking up some other brushes that are like my detailing brushes. So I've got a little round brush, and I've also got myself a flat brush here, a little flat brush, synthetic round brush, synthetic flat brush, perhaps a smaller synthetic brush like this one to get in some of the windows and small details. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're basically just going to get in the shadows, and I really want to get in some shadows forming, like hitting the right side of those buildings perhaps. Okay, some sharper looking shadows. And yeah, let's have a go at this, guys. The first thing we need to think how we're going to plan this. Kate says, "Hi Darren, following you from Hong Kong." Oh, are you in holidays, Kate? Good to know. Hope you're enjoying yourself over there. Been to Hong Kong, I don't know, like maybe 10 or so years ago. I didn't go there for very long though, sort of just stopped off. I remember going to some market there. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Anyhow, let's get going again. Yeah, and you know what? With the larger shadows as well, perhaps a little mop brush like this will actually be good to get in some of those larger shadows. But let's have a think. Where will we start with the shadows? I reckon I will start here. I reckon I will maybe start here. So the trick with the shadows is we want to do all in one go. So whenever you see any kind of darkness here, you look at the really dark areas and paint those first, and then there might be a shadow running across as well, which casts a shadow to the right, but there will be the darkness, the immediate darkness underneath and in those windows that you have to get in, but then you blend in the shadow that shifts to the right at the same time. That's how you make it look a bit more loose, more interesting. I'm going to mix up some color. I've got some ultramarine blue. I've got some perylene red. I've got some whatchamacallit, yellow, bit of yellow. Okay. Bit of, it's not just yellow, it is yellow ochre. I didn't mix in enough the first time around, so now I'm stuck and going back. You really have to practice your mixing, guys. It's something that people don't do enough, and they buy all these different paints, but you have to spend a lot of time on your palette just mixing up colors. And let me just maybe show you a bit of my palette here. All right, here we have it, a little bit of it. Okay, just mixing up basically a bit of blue, bit of red, bit of yellow to get myself a kind of purplish, grayish, purplish shadow. All right, good. And I kind of get lazy, and I tend not to. After a while, I tend to just grab the neutral tint afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to start with this round brush, and we'll go in. Let me shift myself around a bit. It's kind of tricky to get everything in the scene. Let's start off with the top of this building. Okay, and we got a bit of shadow to the right hand side there. Can you see just a little nook to the right of this right of that building there that I can indicate for that a bit of that shadow. Okay, just that little nook. Okay, like that maybe. And some of this will blend into the sky. I don't really mind, just leave it. Some darkness here for this little window. You know, we've got also this ledge here, and that has some darkness there. But not only that, we have ourselves a imaginary shadow, because I obviously want to make some more like interesting looking shadows, maybe running to the right like this. Okay, look at that. A little imaginary shadow running to the right from underneath that. And that's what I mean by getting that shadow in, blending it with the darker shadow there, so that it just looks like one big shape. You know, here we've got this frame, the door, not the frame, but you know what I mean, like this area of the door there. It needs to be quite dark in here. But still have enough details showing through. Okay, so that's like kind of this opening in there. All right, that, good. And even in the buildings in the back, there's details that I can put in like that. Tiny little details of these buildings, like the darkness, sorry, on the building like this, maybe something in between like that. There, you know, you've got also, it really depends how pedantic you are, but there are some like fields out the back there, like some green, you know, and little kind of mountains as well. Just, don't know, indicate that. Don't need to. This is really overkill because it is, as you see, it's like just so far in the distance that it won't really make a difference. But carrying on again, this is another part. This part there, there's that we can see in shadow here, and this here. Let's have a look. This part there. Okay, bit of shadow. And where's that join on? Underneath here, like this. Okay, good. This ledge also has a bit of light that's caught onto it. A bit of light on that ledge. Okay, and here we go. We're moving down. We're moving this shadow down the page, guys. We're moving it all the way down into these figures, like this, around the figures. Paint around the figures. I don't want to colour them all in the same colour. That we've got, you know, one thing I really want to do is maybe get in some texture on this. There's just too much, as you can see here, just like, it's too smooth, it's too flat in this, what do you call this building here, this gate. So just some little encouragement, little nudges of things here and there. Where's this, you know? Yeah, we'll have more time to do that stuff afterwards anyway. Don't worry, we'll have more time to do that. I'm just being a bit pedantic at the moment. Okay, the most important thing is this shadow. Come on, let's get this in there. Cut around the figures into the ground, underneath this car. And I'm thinking to myself as well, how, you know, what sort of shadow pattern do I want? And I'm thinking, I just maybe want the shadow to come in roughly about here, roughly about maybe there and stop. Okay, let me just see, maybe like a roughly about there. We'll draw it, paint it in the air, and then go into it. So I'm just sort of thinking, that wall, yeah, like maybe like this, but there, because there is that a person? Yeah, it's a person actually. Yeah, hang on. There is a person. Put them in there. Yep. Okay, like this. Kind of like a sharp sort of shadow running in to the right, but at some point we need to stop like that. Okay. Good. Okay. Now we can start putting in the shadow underneath this building, this little shade here. Okay, more darkness. A little bit more darkness. I'm running out of paint. I'm running out of dark paint. So, and I said before, now I'm picking up some, I'm going to cheat and pick up some purple and mix it in with neutral tint so I can just do this part here, this darker section in there, here, this area. See, just get that in one go. Okay, that's all right. And these little frills, let me just see if I can apply some of those little frills. There we go. That doesn't look half bad, does it? But we do have to get in maybe an indication of the shadow running to the right as well of the building. What was that thing there? No, it's nothing. It's just a little shadow running to the right, you know. Okay. What else do we have? You know, there's little bits and bobs. You know, check that out. These little, whatever they are, on the on the building themselves. So these boxes and all that kind of stuff. You know, here there's like this window. You know, can I simplify that window down a little bit, and maybe make it, see if I can just darken the center of it. Don't know, just to bring it out a bit more, like that. Okay, frame of this sign here, a little frame of this sign. These pot plants or what you got there. Let's use some, a little bit more brown, bit of like, yeah, just want to put in a little bit more brown for this ledge here. Okay, just make sure it's coming in front a little bit more. Okay, and mind you, we haven't even got in the shadows for the figures yet. We will do that in just a moment. I want to let that dry and then go in and put the shadows in, but I wanted to get in a really large shadow running across and have that juxtaposition to touch with the softer shadow here to the right. Okay, so you got this sort of sharper shadow that may or may not work, may kind of look like too much, but then we've got this softer shadow here, which I really like. Good. So far, probably my favorite bit is this underneath section of that. Yeah, that kind of underneath section. There. The rest of it does need a bit more work. Let's put in the shadow of these buildings, okay? Again, I'm going to pick up dark paint. And one thing I've forgotten, these sort of really dark areas on top of the building. Can you see here just the ledge of that building there? Let's just get that in. Come on, let's do that. Just a couple brush strokes. Done. Let's get this one in now. One brush stroke. Oh, crap. That's right. There we have it. Darkness up the top there. Let me darken that window a little bit more. Good. Now, let's do this, what I was saying before. The darkness on the right-hand side of the building. See? Running towards the back. Okay, you might have bits of light that peek through in areas. Okay, which is actually my plan. I want to get in maybe some, you know, let's say all the way out the back here, we can start doing the shadows. And this is kind of tricky because you're cutting around, one, you're cutting around these figures, and two, you're kind of playing a bit of guesswork here as to where the, you know, where the shadows is going to be cast on the buildings to the right, you know, like that. Okay, cut around the figures. Okay, cut around them because we're going to put in some better colors on the figures as well, so they're not all the same color. I'm just using a little flat brush here so I can do this with more detail. Okay, check that out. Okay, there's probably a bit of shadow cast on this building as well there. Oh, that's not the best. Okay. This bridge or whatever here in the background, that actually is a bit darker. I will darken this touch here. Okay. Okay, there. You know, this building is the cause of this shadow. So, really want to make sure that I'm applying that well. The tricky thing with this hot press paper is that things just dry lighter. A lot lighter. Okay, so that's that basically. You might have like this ledge maybe casting a bit of a shadow to the right as well here, perhaps, you know. But for the most part, it's the people, it's these figures that you're going to need to get in some type of indication of their legs, casting a shadow to the right hand side. I do want to get in maybe some, you know, let's get in a bit of a shadow here on this building, like this. You know, it's all a bit of guesswork here, yeah. I don't know exactly if a lot of this stuff will work out or not, but because we don't have a proper reference for this, okay. Just guessing. It can be a soft, maybe a soft shadow. Where's my spray bottle? How are we going, guys? We've got Hannah as well. Hannah in Germany. Whereabouts in Germany are you from? I've visited a few years back. I have a friend who lives in an area called near to Würzburg, and I ended up over there and showed me around. Actually, I got a few photos of Würzburg, so I might maybe do it next time. Something different. Look at what I'm doing. I'm just like flicking a bit of this water in here to create some, maybe some inconsistencies in the wash. Yeah, just some little specks of whatchamacallit, blooms and things like that. Okay, I just thought, okay, you know, why not put in some more shadows, some softer shadows, because I've got so many of these really sharp shadows in here. Maybe there's a softer shadow cast onto that one. Okay, cut around this figure as well, just make his head stick out a bit better. I'm gonna have to redo some of that background area, but look, we're okay. We'll be fine. Okay, that looks all right. So kind of going back to what I was talking about before, the legs and stuff of these figures, we want to just get them in essentially with a few brush strokes. I'm going to pick up some dark and neutral tint, but you know, before I do that, let's put in some colors for them, some colors for the figures. We're going to need to get some interesting colors. Let's put in some of this color here. I don't know what that is. Maybe like a greenish, blue greeny kind of color, bluey greeny, whatever. That. Okay. Still keep it fairly light. I just want to make him look a bit more interesting because he's up the front, you know. It's up the front. Pants, it's going to be darker. It's just going to be like blue jeans. So this is just some ultramarine, but I will mix it in with a bit of darker color because before that was just a bit too vibrant. Okay, there's a leg. There's another leg here. There he is, walking into the scene. Arms, I'm going to pick up a bit of pink mixed in with a bit of red mixed in with yellow. Red, yellow. I've got too much stuff on that brush. I'm going to have to use another one. Probably do these. Probably do some of the skin tones first. Let's try this color. Kind of like a pinkish sort of color. There we go. A bit more red maybe. Yep. And yeah, for skin tones, I use a combination of perylene red, yellow ochre, a bit of burnt sienna sometimes, depending on whichever skin tone you're trying to imply, and also some ultramarine blue as well. Okay, here is, you know, this other figure here. I'm just going to put in a bit of detail, a bit of color for the shirt. Okay, this really is just a way for me to kind of just detail these figures, and give them a bit more character, make them look like, you know, individuals. You know, I used to just paint them all the same color, and most of the times I do, but if I'm not being lazy, I'll try to give each one a bit of individual attention, and be sure as well to leave some of them wearing white shirts. Can you see? Just some of them maybe wearing white shirts as well, and that's going to have a pop of color, hopefully. Pop of sorry, not color, but pop of contrast. Nice pop of contrast, just indicating the light coming in from the left. This person, let's give him a blue shirt. We're missing some not ultramarine, but some of this sky color that is up the top, but, you know, kind of feel like, you know, if you replicate a bit of it down below, it's gonna look more balanced. I know in some spots may or may not be a good idea, but yeah, something like that. The figures to the left, some color to these figures to the left as well. Some, you know, here some ultramarine maybe for that figure. Keep them pretty light because I want, you know, for my scene anyway, I want them to show through. I want the light to really show through. You notice that I mix my colors together, you know, for all the figures, you know, and I try not to make them too vibrant as well. So some of them I actually just add in some grey. So if I want to mix, say I want to make him wear a yellow shirt like this figure here, I'll just mix a bit of grey into that yellow, and then fantastic, you've got some grey, but it doesn't look like too, you know, too gaudy. Yeah. Anyway, so, you know, we're getting it. We're sort of getting there. How are we all doing, guys? As I see a bunch of you watching on Facebook, YouTube, how are you finding? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions so far? Because we are almost there. We're almost at the end. We're so close. And but as you can see, there's some missing bits and pieces that we need to put in. We need to, you know, for example, we need to put in the legs of the figures, the shadows of the figures, small details, small dark details that, and maybe some perspective lines as well. Okay, so you know, and here's another decision. I'm thinking, you know, with the light, you know, do I get in a streak of light, a streak of shadow running across to the right hand side, or just leave it? I reckon I'll just leave it, because the problem here is if you start then putting in too much shadow on the ground, you're gonna lose the light. I don't want that to happen. Even though I might be able to get a more dramatic shadow going through, I don't want to stuff it. Neutral tint. And let's just go with this one, maybe this one first. Here, there's a leg, another leg behind. Oh, too much. It's a bit too much darkness. Doesn't matter. Just lifting off a bit of that paint. Gone too dark. Let's do this one as well. Here, here. Shadow running to the right. This shadow is too dark. This guy out the back here, I've done that shadow way too dark. I just want to lift off a touch of that. It's not ideal. That's why kind of watching your paint mixes is so important. There we have it. There we have it. Okay. This figure here, I reckon, just needs to be darker. Some spots like that. And the shadow behind, like this, casting a shadow behind him, like that. We've got these figures here as well in front. Yep. Legs darker, so that they just stick out of these shadows. Like that. Like that. This guy's kind of like walking into the scene, perhaps. Here we go. Bit of shadow there on the ground. Again, a touch too dark. So here comes the tissue to the rescue. join up these shadows of these figures a bit to the right as well, like this on the ground. No, that. This figure here, it's like someone just kind of walking up the hill, I think. This lady walking up the, or down the hill, can't really tell. Just the legs, like this. Okay, kind of just blends into one. This one here in the back, a figure in the back, bit of the shadow to the right as well. Some more of these figures here, just the legs, quick little indication of the legs and the shadow underneath the legs. Okay, the ones in the back become, you don't really need to do much for the ones in the back. They will look fine. Now, in the buildings, this is where you kind of want to put in some small bits of darkness in areas to indicate windows and things like that. You know, here you've got, for example, these like balconies that sort of stick out of the top of those. See the buildings like that. I can start to put in a little bit of this indication of those as well. While I'm there. Okay. These rooftops have to be darkened a bit. These, what you call them, areas up the top with the gutters and things are there. Yeah. Really dark colour. It's just mostly dark paint and that's it. Neutral tint, nothing else. Bit of water. And the windows, you know, check this out, just a few. Whoops, that one's not kind of placed in the right spot, but we'll be okay. You know, these little windows. For those buildings. Underneath some of these windows as well, you might have an extra bit of darkness in some spots. Okay. Here, for example. There's actually some green or something in there as well. Look, not only that, I think there's some green here. Just from these, like, you see these little, I don't know what it is, like a plant or whatever growing up here. Let's just squiggle in a few bits and pieces, scumble in some detail. Don't need to do that. I'm just doing it. Okay. Look, some of these figures just look a touch too similar. And you can do things like, for example, this person could be holding a bag or like carrying a bag. You know, something there. Like that. Just vary them a little bit to make them look like they're doing something. Something different. Just get that car out in the back like that. What else do we have here? Well, I mean, look, we're almost pretty much at the end of this scene. You know, just picking out some spots to darken, you know, around that figure underneath that building there. You know, just some bits of darkness in the background. Top of this, you can see there is some darkness kind of running in the back, just behind this shade cloth. Yeah, good. Like that. More dark areas and spots. You're just picking out, really just picking out a few little details here and there. I mean, even when it comes down to these bricks on the buildings, I mean, you can just pick up whatever you've got, like a small flat brush like that, and just drop in like indications of these bricks, like brickwork. Can you see just a little bit here and there? You don't have to paint in all of the bricks, but just a few of them, and then it starts kind of looking like an actual you know, like there's bricks in there, but you don't have to spend all day doing it. And make sure you go really light as well. You can probably do this better than I'm doing it. I'm just trying to quickly imply this. Yeah. There's some more browns maybe. These bricks are also a lot kind of larger than how I've portrayed them. Sorry, they're smaller than how I've portrayed them. Bit of spray of water. Just get them to blend a little bit. Looks too funny. Here, you know, some bricks, and here's something you can do as well. If you just spray an area down quickly like that, if you've got a little blade, a little knife or something, you can actually like scratch out. I'm thinking maybe scratch out some details for bricks. I don't know. Will it work? Not really. Probably should have done that. Probably should have done that a bit before. Okay. But I can maybe put in a few darker ones and bits and pieces here. Okay. Yeah, it's fairly like messy, a little bit messy, this painting, a little messier than I would like. Not bad for a sketch. I'm going to give this a dry and then we'll do some final finishing touches. Okay, so we're just about done. I'm gonna pick up really the darkest color I can find, which is neutral tint, and see if I can put in a little bit more detail, especially for this figure, the backpack, you know, that he's holding on to there. That backpack. Just got a watch on. Underneath the sleeves here, a little bit of darkness underneath the sleeves. Edge of the pants as well, maybe like there. Bit of a shadow maybe underneath the head here. There. Now he was wearing sunnies. He is wearing sunnies. Let me see if I can get some in. Kind of. And some hair. I'll give him a bit more hair than he actually has. Yep. Okay. There we got it. Figure there. Bit of hair for the ones out in the back. These little finishing touches will just elevate your scene to the next level by just indicating these figures, these people, a little bit more. Otherwise, yeah, they don't really. You can have a tough time just indicating them, making them look like people without this tiny, a few quick little brush strokes, as you can see here. Just, it only takes a moment to do, but makes a world of difference. I think so anyway. Bit of hair for this one, you know. Right. Yeah, the problem with this like smooth watercolor paper is, as you can see, the paint just dries so much lighter when compared to cold press paper. So all these darks that I put in before, they actually don't turn out as dark as I expect, and so I'm kind of just trying to rejig some of this stuff. A little bit of tiny detailing again around some areas, like this, like in there, the gate. Just pick a few areas that you might want to re-indicate. Yep. All right. Maybe I can get in some of this perspective on the ground, tiny bit of these perspective lines. Let's see how we do there. Yeah. No. That. Okay. All right. Okay, so some final little bit of gouache to bring it all together. To just bring out the highlights of some of these figures. It's kind of like the last ditch attempt at these final details, because I've gone very loose in this scene. I'm hoping this will bring some of these figures out of the shadows better. I will dry it off quickly first. Okay, let's get some of this white gouache, and let's do this. White gouache, really thick white gouache, straight from the tube. I'm using a little flat brush for this. Okay, dry it off a little bit. Alright, I'm going to work on this one first, this guy here. Let's try. Yep. There we go, there's the head, shoulder, there maybe, coming around, just a little bit of like light hitting the left hand side of this figure, here as well, this figure, the head and the shoulder, like that. What else do we have? This figure here, the head and the shoulder. Just join that on. This figure here, head and the shoulder, like that. Maybe a touch of that right shoulder in light as well. Parts of this, the shade and things like that as well, you know, might touch on a little bit of light. You can see just some white here and there, a bit of sparkle in parts of the scene. Here, of course, these figures here in the darkness need a bit of something. Bit of light coming over, hitting the left side of the body. Okay, top of that car in the back. That. It just helps to bring out some small details These ones in the back are kind of difficult to really tell anyway. Okay, but at least this one in the front, I'll really hope to get in a little bit extra care and detail for that figure in the front. One of my big aims this year is to focus more on detailing figures. Okay, putting more effort into detailing the figures, because I'm kind of a bit lazy with that, and I know I can do a lot better. So some of this will help. Definitely will help. The bag. Okay. All right, I think we're pretty much done. My favorite part of the scene is probably like here on the right hand side. I like that figure. I like this kind of gate here on the left hand side, this bit in here. Let's take off the paper, the tape, and let's see how it all looks together. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chats what you think of this scene today. Pamela says, looking good. Awesome. But did you find this one helpful? Because, you know, like we did talk a bit more about some complex topics, composition, changing light patterns, and the perspective on this one as well, which is quite challenging. How did you find today's workshop? This is what we got basically here at the end. Yeah, not bad. I mean, for a first go, first little sketch, definitely not bad. I'll hang around if you guys have any questions, things like that. If you are also interested in, if you found today's workshop helpful, I do have another nearly 100 other workshops available that you can go check out on my Patreon. Just go check the video description. I've got a course link, a 70 course program link in there that you can take a look at. But yeah, as a quick recap, you know, what I've done in this scene is I thought to myself, you know, the reference photos, this is a reference photo that I thought, I don't think I can paint. I mean, I don't like the light source isn't there. You know, what else didn't I like about it? Like the buildings were a little bit too complicated. You know, I wasn't sure what to do with whether to just change the light pattern altogether, you know, the perspective. But by just picking a stronger light source, changing it around, simplifying some of these figures down, and especially, you know, I like how I've just detailed that one, that this figure to the right just looks quite interesting, you know, with the extra detail in the front. The background figures, I reckon I could have done a bit better with some of these background figures for sure. But I do like the fact that it does have these two like a dual perspective kind of scene where you've got two vanishing points, and you're working with these two vanishing points to try to get in this sort of feeling of this undulation, this rolling sort of scene where part of it just goes down and part of it goes up. You know, this is something I thought I might want to do as well. Like, see, there's the detail of this building. A bit of darkness here may bring out a little bit of the light on that building as well. Another thing I thought of just then. Yeah, tiny little modifications here and there. Yeah, if I was to do this again, I'd probably use cold press paper. But that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to finish this one off. But yeah, if you have questions you're watching along after, just leave a comment below and in the chat, and I'll get back to you. But for now, thank you for coming along, and I'll see you all next time.